Strowman was everything WWE loves. He was big, massive, intense, destructive, made the fans feel something whenever he approached the ring. They built him like a final boss, a monster among men as some would say, and for a while it worked. He was over and he was dangerous. He was supposed to be the next monster, the next Kane, the next Andre for Christ's sake. Hell, maybe even the next Brock Lesnar, but instead he was resorted to having his push be derailed in mediocrity. Hello everyone, my name is Nando, and today it's that time, folks, where I had covered the rise and fall of many of the wrestlers, but today, for this video alone, we are going to cover the rise and chaotic fall of Braun Strowman in WWE. Let's get to it. It all begins technically in 2013, as that's when he was first signed with the WWE. They didn't do much with him besides testing him out with some tryout matches and making him a rosebud. How monstrous. But we fast forward to August 24th, 2015, the night that started everything. It was a tag match regarding the kinda not Shield members of Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns taking on the Wyatt family. A match that had Roman and Dean winning, but that was until the match was stopped by the debut of Braun Strowman, standing on the apron with his own sheet mask and proceeded to kill everyone, officially inserting himself into the Wyatt family. Now, why was Braun Strowman added to the group, you may ask? Well, big beard. Big beard. The Wyatts like adding people with beards, so like, I hope that helps. But this debut especially was perfect for him. Immediately inserted himself into a top faction going up against the top stars of the company. He's not the most experienced wrestler, but at least he's surrounded by wrestlers that can always help him improve. He had his debut match against Dean Ambrose. Hey, that's cool. Then it ended in DQ. That's garbage. This all built towards a trios match between the Wyatt family going up against Roman, Dean, and some bald man. Wait, sorry, that was just a fan in attendance. So yeah, it was the returning Chris Jericho. It was an overall fun match, but even with a Chris Jericho return, the main focus was on Strowman, as he was just built to never sell moves and just destroy everyone. And in a shock twist, Braun got the win for the Wyatt family by passing out Chris Jericho, going up against two top players of the company, and he's beating Chris Jericho. What a lineage so far! Then the Wyatt family had a feud with the ECW originals, with Braun getting his time beating the ECW legends like Tommy Dreamer, which leads towards the tables match between the Wyatt family and the ECW originals, and let's just say, the old men got clapped! Including Bubba Ray, who was just trying to let a table on fire, but then Braun was like, bye-bye! The ECW originals wanted a rematch on Raw, to which they did, and then the Wyatt family destroyed the elderly again. Then it was 2016, and Braun came out to his first Royal Rumble at number 17. He garnered the most eliminations out of the whole match before pissing off Brock Lesnar for realsies, because Braun Strowman didn't go down on Brock Lesnar's attacks when he was supposed to, so Brock had to go on full UFC mode to put him down. Brock eliminated Braun, but then Braun came out later to help eliminate him with the Wyatt family. Then he came to his first WrestleMania at WrestleMania 32, interrupting The Rock with the Wyatt family, but with the returning John Cena, they all cleaned house, with even The Rock beating Eric Rowan in just 6 seconds. My lord, bless the Wyatt family, they went through so much bad booking. Also, fun fact, there were heavy rumors suggesting that Undertaker's WrestleMania opponent was actually supposed to be Braun Strowman, but card subject to change, as they probably realized that Braun was just not ready for the challenge, so they just let Undertaker face the next best thing, the best wrestler in the world, Shane McMahon. Then came the 2016 draft, where Raw drafted Braun Strowman while SmackDown drafted the rest of the Wyatt family. And this is where things slowly started to go well for him, because for many weeks Braun was relegated to doing squash matches, but his most famous squash match came with the match against James Ellsworth that really elevated both men up with the crowd. Then on the October 31st edition of Raw is where Braun was able to win a Battle Royal to declare himself to be part of the Survivor Series Raw team. And thus begins his first of many Survivor Series matches. In his first run, Braun went in strong, getting the first elimination, pinning Dean Ambrose, who was just a world champion a few months ago. With SmackDown realizing that Braun has the strength to eat them all, they all teamed up together to help eliminate Braun by countout, to which they successfully did with the help of James Ellsworth. SmackDown felt happy, but unfortunately for Ellsworth, he had to pay the price. Then we fast forward to the 2017 Royal Rumble event. Kevin Owens is going to defend his Universal Championship against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns had the match won, but then Big Braun was like, I'm not finished with you! That was like his catchphrase back in the day. And helped Kevin Owens retain. Then Braun entered the Rumble at number 7, and to no one's surprise, he got the most eliminations out of the whole match before getting eliminated by Baron Corbin? Of all people? Okay. Then on the next night on Raw, Braun interrupted Kevin Owens' celebration to demand his title shot that Kevin Owens had promised him if he had helped him retain against Roman. Kevin Owens tried to gaslight the situation, said that the conversation never happened, but that's when Mick Foley, who was the Raw GM at the time, basically said, screw you Kevin Owens, you made a promise and you're gonna do it. So Kevin Owens defended his Universal Champion against Braun Strowman. Firstly, Braun decided to kill Chris Jericho because he knew he would try to cost him in the match. What a genius! But Roman Reigns came out to cost Braun the match as payback for what he did at the Rumble, which sprinkled off into one of Roman's and Braun's best feuds of their careers, which led towards a match between Braun and Roman Reigns at Fastlane. Remember that show? And then led to Roman beating Braun and becoming the very first opponent to give Braun his very first pinfall loss, which was a big thing at the time. So when Roman Reigns went on to have one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time, being The Undertaker, a man that should have been at a retirement home, then wrestling in a ring, this win made Roman such a hated wrestler than he already was. Coming over to the Raw after Mania with pours of booze, the fans were frustrated to see this man be heavily pushed once again down their throats. Seriously, who was going to stop the supposed babyface? That's right, because Braun decided to do the fans justice by literally annihilating Roman Reigns to a pulp, throwing him like a literal doll just because he felt like it, even lifting over a whole ambulance in the hopes that Roman doesn't breathe again. This moment made Braun over. This moment made Braun. From this moment forward, Braun was an absolute superstar. This was WWE's first giant in forever that actually worked. I was such a big Braun Strowman fan, and so were many others, because of what he could do in the ring, and he was willing to put on some chaotic, cool moments that got the fans behind him. Braun and Roman had a match of payback, but due to Roman's injuries from Braun, Roman just couldn't handle the job, letting Braun take the much needed big W. Then Braun went on to have a feud with the Big Show, which led to many cool moments like the ring exploding and Braun putting Big Show through the cage. But unfortunately, with all that momentum came at the cost, as Braun had to miss a few months of TV as he had shattered his elbow. But it's okay, because he came back and was still on the top of the world title picture, getting invited to a four-way between Brock, Roman, and Samoa Joe for the Universal Champion, but sadly he was unsuccessful. But this is where Braun got into the big program with Brock Lesnar. During this time, Brock had been holding the belt since WrestleMania 33 after defeating Goldberg, and he had been the same tiresome reign. Eat, sleep, wrestle a bit, live again, repeat. But this reign was the worst to have in such an era that had talents that should have been a world champion right now, and those men were especially Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman. Samoa Joe was such a star. His pros and skills and his wrestling were excellent, but he's in an era where WWE was just letting Brock, just keeping the belt hostage. So of course he couldn't beat Brock, but in return it really devalued Joe as a top main eventer. Then Braun Strowman came in, was red hot with the crowd, got really over for beating up Brock Lesnar for a couple of weeks, and then he just loses to Brock Lesnar, to which was a really rushed and awful match. Which to me, in my opinion, this was the beginning of the end to where people could take Braun Strowman seriously as a monster and a top act of the company, because this is where things just go down south. Just what I will tell you later will seem like I'm being dramatic, but hear me out at the end of the video. I'll explain more. Braun would then join the Miz Taraj for a temporary time, which was a faction that consisted of the Miz, Curtis Axel, and Bo Dallas. Oh, we have fallen off so fast! And it was just so he could go against the newly formed Shield, aka the most forced reunion to happen in history. Seth had to stop his great solo work in the mid-card division, all because Roman needed to be cheered by the fans again. Aww! This would then lead towards a match at TLC where the Shield went up against 5 guys of the Miz, Sheamus, Cesaro, Kane, and Braun Strowman. Sorry, Just look at this team. Did someone just put this team together by pressing the random button on a WWE 2K game or something? What is this matchup? But unfortunately, Roman Reigns couldn't attend the show due to him getting infected with this disease called the mumps. It was a virus that affected some of the Raw roster, especially Bray Wyatt, which led to the switch-in match of AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. So in a quick replacement, Kurt Angle stepped in, coming out of retirement for this match to team with The Shield. Which is just wild. But the bad guy team had the clear advantage against the Shield and the Bold Olympian, but they had one clear disadvantage that helped the Shield secure the victory either way. The bad guys were idiots. A miscommunication spot happened that led to Braun and Kane beefing throughout the entire match, which led to Braun beating up his other teammates. So his teammates were like, screw this guy, he's out. So they beat Braun up, which turned Braun into a babyface in the process and put him into a garbage truck, which was a nice and sweet reference to describe where his career was heading. So I'm feeling pissed off. The next time on Raw, Braun stopped the Miz's limo from driving and then proceeded to drag and murder every single member of the Miz Entourage. So that was lovely. Braun would then go on to have a little program with Kane. They had a fine time together, and Braun hated Kane so much that he broke a bit of the ring. Braun then got invited to the Survivor Series Raw vs SmackDown 5v5 team for 2018, which was really stacked with talent and potential. On the SmackDown side, they had Shane McMahon, John Cena, Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Bobby Roode. 3 big stars and 2 upcoming rising stars that came from NXT that year of 2017. Then you have Raw side that had Kurt Angle, Triple H, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe. Oh my gosh, this had potential to be a really good Survivor Series match that can solely focus on the veterans putting over the new talent of the day. Guys like Finn, Joe, Shinsuke, and Bobby Roode, and especially Braun Strowman. So they did that, right? Right? Oh my gosh, this was the most useless Survivor Series match of all time. But in theory, since this is a Braun Strowman video, technically by the standard, this is a really good thing for him. Why? Because this match focused on really just 2 things. 1, Triple H and Shane McMahon beefing for some reason, and Braun Strowman. That's it, that's really it. So the match began. WWE decided to have all the wrestlers wrestle for 11 minutes, then when Braun got tagged in, it was all mayhem from there. Coming in to easily eliminate Nakamura and Bobby Roode in a matter of just 2 minutes. New stars of SmackDown, folks. Eliminated like they were just nothing. Then Braun got tagged out. People were allowed to have a proper wrestling match again. Then Braun got tagged in, just to sweep an elimination real quick, and then went back to the tag rope. Then they had this really questionable spot where Triple H turned on his partner Kurt Angle in the match to have him be eliminated by Shane, and he stared at Braun like he was proving a point to him. What point exactly? Who knows? It's never explained. Then Triple H got the win for them both, but Braun was so pissed off that he beat up Triple H and made him cry? You made Triple H cry? Wow, that's crazy. That is one way to put someone over. But with that, it led to Braun getting another shot against Brock Lesnar for the Universal Champion, with Kane being involved because someone had to take the pin. This all happened in the 2018 Royal Rumble, and let's be real, no one remembers what happened in this match because the only thing I remembered about this is Braun accidentally kicking Brock Lesnar too hard, so then Brock Lesnar, yet again, had to proceed to go on full UFC mode to help Braun learn his lesson. Brock won, and that was that. Then Braun beat Kane to qualify for the Elimination Chamber, a match that featured the very first 7-man Elimination Chamber match. And this was probably Braun's most bogus booking that I have ever seen. So Braun came in 5th in the match, eliminated Miz, then everyone beat up Braun, they did the Shield Powerbomb on him, Braun kicked out, Cena did an AA, Braun kicked out a 1, Roman hit him with the spear, kick out, then got hit with the stomp and coup de grace, then the guys just didn't want to pin him for some stupid reason. You hit him with 4 finishes! Get him out of the match! Then Braun woke up, eliminated Elias, then Cena, then Braun got hit with Finn's signature, then finisher, he still kicked out, then Braun eliminated Finn Balor right afterwards. Then Seth hit Braun with a frog splash on the top of the chamber pod, still kicked out. He got hit with 2 super kicks, no sold both of them to eliminate Seth from the match, Then it left him and Roman Reigns alone. Who was gonna face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? Who was winning? The guy who literally suffered through a billion finishers and managed to eliminate everyone in the match on his own? Or Roman Reigns in 2018? Yeah. What was the point of this booking? Yes, I know you're shocked, like, why are you complaining? Braun was booked like a monster. Yes, he was. But for what purpose? This is a big problem that fluctuated Braun's chances of success. The fact that WWE kept overbooking him in spots that made him look very strong and monstrous, but then they never capitalized on his impact because, lol, he just ain't Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns. So yeah, a really cool moment where he indeed looked like a beast, but it was all at the cost of making another guy look good, which is just so infuriating, and things like that is why people didn't like Roman Reigns during this time, man. It's just dumb. So dumb. And sadly, it just gets dumber. So then on Raw, we had ourselves a tag team battle royal. The winner's prize having them face the Raw tag team champions, The Bar, at WrestleMania 34. And out of 5 legitimate teams in the match, who won? It was just Braun Strowman, who just came in just because and won on his own. Okay, man. But with that win, Braun was only allowed the opportunity to face The Bar unless he could find a partner. Now this led people speculating big, like, oh my gosh, WWE was teasing something huge. Who could be the partner? People were thinking that maybe Braun could align himself with the Big Show. Unlikely, but yeah, maybe Bray Wyatt to reunite the Wyatt family. But the biggest speculation came with people thinking that this would lead to the return of Rey Mysterio, who hadn't been in the company for like 4 years at this point. And this tension built towards WrestleMania. Who was going to be Braun's tag partner? It's a fucking child? Sorry. Oh my gosh, I usually don't try to swear in these videos, but oh my gosh, it's a little child! Get this on here, oh my gosh. In comes Nicholas, who Braun naturally grabbed from the crowd and is said to be one of the sons of one of WWE's referees named John Cone. So he came in and Braun just helped the 10-year-old win the freaking Raw Tag Team Champions. You see what I mean with Braun's booking? They do so much with him. They overbook him like a beast just so they could never leverage it with anything good. All that build up just to please an old man that has well overstayed his welcome in this company. Then Braun and Nicholas dropped the tag titles 24 hours later because lol, Nicholas has a tight schedule because lol, he has school. Isn't that funny? No, it's dumb. Credit to Nicholas though, he's just a kid who lived out everyone's dreams as a WWE fan. Too bad it came at the cost of making Braun look silly. Then WWE hosted the Greatest Royal Rumble, which was WWE's first show in Saudi Arabia, and they had a 50-man Royal Rumble match. A match that famously included Titus Bull Slide and a random sumo wrestler, a wrestler that was brought in a replacement because the Saudi prince had apparently asked the WWE to bring in Yokozuna, a man that had passed away nearly 20 years ago at that time. Oh my gosh. Anyways, Braun got 13 eliminations, the most in Rumble history. Technically not in Rumble history because WWE have just refused to acknowledge anything of the existence of the show, and rightfully so. Braun won the Royal Rumble, winning a trophy and the champion for some reason. And if you want to know the funny stats, I'll tie it because during the time of this recording, Braun has been the greatest Royal Rumble champion for over 2,600 days and still counting, which is like double of Roman Reigns' long Universal title reign, which is just hilarious. Then months later, Braun went on to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, announced he's cashed in against Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell, a match that is only famously known because Brock Lesnar came in, beat both men up in the match, and had a Hell in a Cell end in no contest. How can you do that? That is just so dumb. Now, can you imagine if WWE had a Hell in a Cell match that ended in DQ? Imagine! So now Braun has lost his briefcase and looks like an even bigger Trump than he did before. So now how do we solve this issue? Just gonna turn him heel. Sure. And why do we have to do this? Well, gotta keep Roman looking strong. This program would lead to a triple threat match for the Universal Champion featuring Roman, Brock, and Braun, but since Roman had to unfortunately relinquish the title due to his battle with leukemia, so the match was instead Braun versus Brock Lesnar. A match that somehow made Braun look way worse than they did in their first match together. Braun ate like 5 F5s, a rush job just to have Braun win the Universal Champion again. Yay, so great. Braun was then invited to the 2018 Survivor Series 5v5 match and he just did the typical Braun stuff. Everyone wrestled, but when he got tagged in, he just eliminated, well, everyone. Also, SmackDown, word of advice, stop letting your general manager Shane McMahon into these matches. He's old, sweats 2 minutes into his matches, and gets no eliminations. There are much better replacements than him. Then Braun beat Baron Corbin at TLC for another opportunity at the Universal Champion. Yes, Braun had to beat Baron Corbin of all people to get an opportunity for the Universal Champion. We were really in the trenches in 2019. But when Baron Corbin was still irritating Braun Strowman, it led to Braun accidentally destroying Vince's limo, which had Vince strip Braun off the title match, so instead he got into the Royal Rumble match, to which he was the last man eliminated by Seth Rollins. Then Braun was relegated to feuding with the main cast of Saturday Night Live. What? It was a nothing program. It led towards the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Braun eliminated those guys and won the Battle Royal. So just, what are we doing here, man? Then months later, Braun went to a program with Seth Rollins for the Universal Champion, a feud that led to them winning the Raw Tag Team Champions for some reason, only to drop it almost a month later to Ziggler and Rude at Clash of Champions. Then later on, Braun went on to lose to Seth later. Then Braun had a feud with famous boxer Tyson Fury. This was just a cash grab match, as Tyson defeated Braun by countout. Why was Braun given the spot? Could have given this to just someone else, as this only continued to devalue Braun in the process. Braun was then invited to the 2019 Survivor Series 5v5v5 match, the one that had NXT involved, and this time Braun was on the SmackDown side. And oh my lord, this was without a doubt one of Braun's worst performances ever in Survivor Series history. Because out of 10 competitors, Braun eliminated no one, not 2, not even 5, but 0 people. Yeah, I caught you with that one. Yeah, no one. Because you know what he did? He got counted out. What? And yet the funniest part is just look at how bad SmackDown's team was out of everyone, but yet they still won because lol, Roman Reigns in 2019. And also Braun had a tag match with the New Day on SmackDown and did this.
Oh my goodness. Braun Strowman, get these hips!
Remember when Braun killed Roman at the Raw after Mania? Good times. Braun then entered the 2020 Royal Rumble match just to be a body for Brock to eliminate. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And what's even sadder is that Brock went on to be recognized for having the most eliminations in Royal Rumble history, giving no recognition that he's now tied with Braun Strowman, which is just so hilarious and also just kind of sad. Then Braun went on to have a feud with Sami Zayn, Shinsuke, and Cesaro as they were a faction together, and it led towards Braun winning the IC champion from Shinsuke Nakamura, a reign that relatively went nowhere as Braun just gave the belt to Sami Zayn, losing to him in a 3-on-1 handicap match. Because that's how title matches work. Then when the world shut down, WWE had set their shows towards the Performance Center, but wanted to push forward with their plan to have Goldberg versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Champion at WrestleMania 36. But due to Roman stepping up for the sake of his health, Braun Strowman replaced him and went on to have the most nothing burger match of all time. Braun became the Universal Champion, which was just... you were 3 years too late. Nobody cares. So who is Braun gonna face for the Universal Champion? Well, Roman's gone, Brock ain't there, and WWE had just fired over 40 wrestlers, so what about the Miz and Morrison? He had a nothing feud with the duo, a feud that featured Miz and Morrison even throwing slime at Braun. Vince, I freaking hate you. Then Braun had a feud with Bray Wyatt in regards to Bray wanting Braun to go back to being his black sheep, but Braun would always just refuse. This would lead to a match between them at Money in the Bank where Braun retained against him. Then the feud continued where Braun had a match with The Fiend in a House of Horrors match, which was just a messy matchup that included...
Come home, Braun. I know you've always wanted to be together. Follow me, Braun. We can be together forever.
And the match ended with The Fiend going into the waters to help drown Braun Strowman. So that's lovely. And it seems like The Fiend's water had some side effects as Braun came out joining the Bold Club. Braun and Fiend would then have their last solo match together at SummerSlam, which led to The Fiend winning the Universal Championship for him. But the moment didn't last long as Roman Reigns returned with all shiny Colgate teeth and all, sparking a heel turn and a new look. And with 6 days later, WWE had hosted another pay-per-view being Payback. Yes, WWE had 2 pay-per-views back-to-back in just 2 weeks, where it was scheduled to be a triple threat match between The Fiend, Braun, and Roman Reigns. Roman was nowhere to be seen, so Braun and The Fiend fought on their own. They rushed in all the big spots in like 3 minutes before Roman came out to only sign his contract now to the match, because you can just do that apparently. Deadlines apparently don't exist. Roman speared both men, pinning Braun in the process to become the new Universal Champion. Braun would get a match against Roman for the title but failed in the process, so he got drafted to Raw, to which he got started by getting invited to another Survivor Series 5v5 match in which Raw just swept every single member of SmackDown with just such ease, losing no members in the process and each member getting a turn in eliminating someone. Seriously, just why did Vince hate SmackDown so much when it came to Survivor Series? He was also in the 2020 Royal Rumble match, entering at number 30, getting a few eliminations in before Edge went on to eliminate and win the Royal Rumble. Then we get into this really dumb storyline in which Shane had wanted to teach Braun Strowman about cooperation. So he teamed Braun with Raw General Manager Adam Pearce to fight the Hurt Business for the Raw Tag Titles. What? Why is he teaming with a GM to do this? So Braun squashed the Hurt Business on his own, and when he was ready to win, Shane had told Strowman to let Adam Pearce get the pin for some dumb reason, and that helped Shelton roll up Adam Pearce for the win. This was all building towards a feud between Shane and Braun, a feud that consisted of Shane trying to prove that Braun was just really stupid. Why did I watch this stuff? And it's during this build where Braun faced one of Shane's goons named Jackson Riker, and in the match, WWE started to implement train noises whenever Braun ran around the ring to tackle people.
Oh, look out! Beware! You gotta tread on the loose! Oh my God! And Riker hit by the big D.
Are you not entertained? No, I'm not! And then led towards a match at WrestleMania where Braun defeated Shane by dropping his body off the cage. So that's lovely. Then in the next month, Braun would beat Drew McIntyre to earn an opportunity for Bobby Lashley's WWE Championship. Braun fought hard, but Bobby ended up retaining. But this would unfortunately be Braun's last match in the company thus far, as he was then released by the company due to budget cuts. Braun would then later serve his time doing work in the indie scene, working with EC3 on their new promotion called CYN, Control Your Narrative. It was quite controversial with its rules, its storylines. It was weird, but it's not WWE related, so I'm just not gonna cover it. Fast forward to a year later, and Vince McMahon got his own ass booted out of the company due to some awful allegations, leading Triple H to take charge in the creative team. And with realizing, wow, we barely have 80 freaking people on this roster, let's fix that. So Triple H brought in a lot of time that Vince released, one of which being Braun Strowman himself, returning to Raw to attack every single competitor in the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, hilariously coming back and already botching. Braun would have a short program with Omos in which led towards a match at Crown Jewel, to which Braun won. Then going to SmackDown, Braun went on to have a program with Gunther for the IC title but was unsuccessful in capturing the belt. And with this program is where Braun got to team with Ricochet. They didn't have an official name, so I'm just going to be calling them the Big Small Balls. But unfortunately, the team just didn't go anywhere. Then we fast forward to the 2023 draft, to where Braun started feuding with Bronson Reed, and this was one of Braun's best feuds along Roman Reigns. These were big meaty men slapping meat with each other. They went ham on each other, wrecking property, cars, rings, tables. They went ballistic, and this was all done time to put Bronson Reed over, and that plan exceeded so well for Bronson. The first match ended in no contest as both men couldn't stop beating each other so much, and it ended with Bronson hitting a tsunami onto Braun onto a car. Then for their final match together on Raw, they had a last monster standing match. Yes, you heard that right. Both men went bonkers on each other, and it ended with both men breaking the ring. When it seemed like Bronson was close to winning, Seth Rollins returned to cost Bronson the match due to Braun taking out Seth a few weeks ago, leading Braun to finish the feud by winning. But then Braun had to take some time off as he had suffered a groin injury, but then he came back to join SmackDown again as he would then fight another beefy boy in WWE, that being the big star known as Jacob Fatu. Braun's entire mission this year was to really put over Jacob Fatu as the next big monster in the WWE, but even with that, Braun with the most broken of legs, he still did his best to go out there and make Jacob look good. There had a series of matches. In match 1, Braun won by disqualification because Jacob was just too angry, so Jacob just punished Braun by moonsaulting him some more, but Braun later got his revenge by entering the Royal Rumble and eliminating Jacob from the match, and so Jacob and Braun settled their differences in a last man standing match, which is just so fitting, and whoever won would get an opportunity to face LA Knight for the US title at WrestleMania, which left Jacob Fatu to take the win. And unfortunately, this is where the story ends, as this was Braun's last match in the promotion before being notified that WWE was not going to give Braun another contract, as his contract was just too expensive, leaving Braun to be gone from WWE. And that was Braun Strowman in WWE. So here's the thing. Braun Strowman, in many ways you can say, he had a successful WWE career, somewhat. He was used a lot, was given a lot of opportunities regarding the world champion, had a lot of memorable moments during his time, and accomplished a lot. Thing is, like I mentioned, to me, his career dwindled when he lost to Brock the first time. It's this consistent issue that Braun had in his early years where he was given everything to look like this unbeatable beast, but WWE just had no clear idea on how to capitalize it when the time was right, and just had him lose in big matches in the dumbest of ways. He was set out to be one of the greatest giants in WWE history up until they big showed him by having him transition from a monster to just doing silly comedy acts. And no, being referred to a big show is not a compliment. And before we mention it, yes, he was also a world champion, but then again, he became a world champion unplanned as Roman was supposed to be the champion instead. Plus, he won it in front of no one, and he won it during a time where nobody just cared about him. He wasn't in the position where people wanted him to be champ anymore when the time was rightfully there 3 years ago during the Brock Lesnar saga. But they just didn't do it because at least when he returned in the Triple H era, he had somewhat of an alright run, doing nothing crazy special, but he at least came out to put on some great matches with the big men of today. So yeah, I wish Braun Strowman well, hope his knees work properly again, and that was all from me though. Who would you like for me to cover on the next episode of this series? Subscribe now. Fernando Lopez is out.